3-6 Mafia.
Yeah.
Whoa, hey, yeah. Whoa,
Say what?
hey, whoa,
3-6 Mafia.
hey, whoa,
It's going down.
whoa, hey,
Y'all know what time it is. We ain't playing with you. In the club, in the street.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No B.S. We had to take a little short break because Isaiah got back to his A's and baseball season's full back in swing. But let's go to Isaiah, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to No B.S. Isaiah, how are you doing tonight?
Trevor, happy Aloha Friday, man. I'm feeling a little bit tired because I had to, work for the last week because of baseball season. But it felt great to go back to the Coliseum. It felt great to finally work one homestand and see all my great coworkers once again. It was great, but it was a little bit tiring. So I'm glad that now I have this the next week off before I have to go back to work next Thursday. So that's going to be a great, relaxation period. It's going to be great. But I'm doing great, man. This Friday was a bit challenging because, I started out great, got out of bed great, and then all of a sudden my internet just crashed. And literally, like an hour ago, we didn't even know we were going to have No BS tonight. So I'm glad that it's back. I'm also glad that, man, my Phillies are off to a great start. My A's, not so much. The A's are off to a 1-7 start, and they're making me rage pretty much every game. So I'm glad that, Trevor, we don't talk about the A's on the script tonight. Thank goodness. But I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Glad you're doing great, my friend. I know Callan, is already working hard at it, saying, how about those Phillies, Callan, we're going to cover that a little bit later on tonight about the Phillies and the Braves, who's going to try to win that series. Stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Christy Wilson says, good evening, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you back. And let's, before we dive into tonight's topics, we have to remind everybody, make sure you go to our Twitter and, make sure you partake in the Hot Takes Challenge bracket. We've got to get us all the way down to our finals and pick our grand winner. What round are we at currently, Isaiah, in our, hot takes challenges?
Well, unfortunately, our hot takes challenge is moving slower than a snail. So right now, we are unfortunately still in the round of 64. We're inching day by day closer to going into the second round, but we should be moving into the round of 32. Probably at the start of next Monday.
Well, I don't know how to describe it. By the time we finish, this is going to be like 4th of July, and we're going to be celebrating with hot dogs and, an American bash for the winner. But we have to wait and see how that unfolds. Yeah, what's up?
Trevor, I don't even think we can call this the March Madness Hot Takes Challenge anymore because we're in April and we're not even done with the first round. And this challenge will probably like stretch until Callan comes back from hiatus in like August or September. So we might call it. We should call it like, I don't know, maybe a midsummer classic or I don't know, something like that.
I do like this name, Midsummer Classic, but I feel like that's more deserved for something else. Like I keep hinting at the MI6 outing for the mini golf championship. But, that's a story for another day and for another podcast episode. But let's break down tonight's, schedule, what we got through. Let's go into the world of NBA. We have some big, I guess not big news, some big games that are unfolding down. The biggest takeaways that we have to look at is the Clippers and Suns game where the Clippers, or were the Clippers victorious over the Suns, or was it the other way around?
The Clippers were victorious over the Suns.
You want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so the Clippers, they beat the Suns yesterday 113-103. This was actually a very great game. It lived up to all the hype. The Clippers had the lead in the first quarter. The Suns took a 2-point lead at the end of the first half, and then the Clippers, regained control in the third quarter, and the Suns, they got back into it in the fourth quarter, but the Clippers, they ultimately took the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was back and forth, back and forth. It was such an entertaining game, Trevor. This game, like I said, it lived up to the hype. You have two teams, a team that in the Phoenix Suns that are second place right now in the Western Conference at 36-15, playing outstanding basketball, and you have the Clippers who are 35-18. We know what the Clippers can do with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on their basketball team. They're third in the Western Conference right now. So this was like a matchup between the second best team in the West versus the third best team in the West, and it certainly was a great game to watch. And my biggest takeaway, Trevor, from this basketball game is I want this series in the second round of the NBA playoffs. I hope the Suns stay at 2. I hope the Clippers stay at 3. And I hope both of these two teams win their first round series, because this series, if we can get Clippers and Suns in the second round, that's going to be a hell of a series. I guarantee you it's going to go at least 6 to 7 games, and each game will go down to the wire because these two teams are just so evenly matched. But ultimately in this game, though, the thing that won it for the Clippers, I felt like, was the experience of the Clippers, especially late in the game. The Phoenix Suns, they struggled late in the game, missing shots, turning the ball over. You just can't do that if you want to beat a good team in the NBA. You have to learn how to close games. And this Phoenix Suns team, led by Devin Booker and Chris Paul, even though they're really good right now and I like them a lot, they just don't have that experience. They are like a bunch of really young players trying to learn how to close out games in the NBA, and it's a learning process, and it's going to take some time. But if we can get this series in the second round, man, we are in for a big treat.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Like you said, the two top teams in the West going back and forth. It's going to be really hard to see how the teams unfold out in the postseason. I know we're getting really close to that time, but at the same time, they're just like trading blows with each other. It's like if they switch and swap seeds, it's not going to be the end all be all. They're still going to have to face each other. So it's just like, who do you want to play? It's like, do you want to play like the 7 seed or do you want to play the 6 seed? That's what it boils down to. So it's like, you rather prefer to play a weaker 6 seed, then you go for it, and you kind of lose games at that point. But that gets into the world of other things. But I know. I'm guessing this is SG. I'm guessing this is Chardell. If I'm guessing, I don't know. SG 2021. He says his takeaway. I shouldn't say he, because we don't know who actually it is. So the person thinks the takeaway from this game is the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers basketball game. It was a pretty good game, but Devin Booker had a great game with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 24 points. So Devin Booker is still putting up numbers, and the Phoenix Suns. Go ahead. Go ask your question, Isaiah.
I felt like about Devin Booker, could have been a little bit more aggressive, especially down the stretch in that game, because a lot of the Suns players went ice cold down the stretch. Chris Paul, he only had 13 points in this game. He struggled badly against, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, as those two took turns guarding him. And, guys like Bridges, who had 20 points, he was ice cold down the stretch. Jay Crowder was ice cold down the stretch. DeAndre Ayton only had 18 points, 10 rebounds. I don't know why the Phoenix Suns stopped feeding him in the paint, because the biggest weakness for the LA Clippers is they don't have an interior presence. That's why when they go up against teams like the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Jazz, I think they're going to struggle because they don't have a big man that can go toe-to-toe with the Anthony Davises of the world, the Andre Drummonds of the world, the Rudy Goberts of the world, the Jokic's of the world. They are amazing on the perimeter, but they just don't have that presence in the paint to be able to guard some of these top centers in the NBA. And I think that, Devin Booker should have been a little bit more aggressive down the stretch, especially once his teammates were getting cold, because you're the main guy in Phoenix. I know Chris Paul, he's a great player, future Hall of Famer, but Chris Paul at this point of his career, he's a Robin to Devin Booker's Batman. He's a Devin Booker.
Whoa. You can't put, Chris Paul as Devin Booker's Robin. No, you can't.
But
The man is the Alfred. He's the old man. He's seasoned. He's a veteran, and he's training the Batman. That's what you would have to say.
Trevor, I get that, but you can't say that Chris Paul is the
Chris Paul is not a
alpha on the-
sidekick. All right,
Chris Paul is not. He's not the alpha on the Phoenix Suns, man.
He is the floor general that is orchestrating all the great passes. And here you're saying that Devin Booker is the Batman. That is not. I would say Chris Paul is the Nick Fury of everything.
But Devin Booker is the main scorer. He's the main offensive weapon on this Phoenix Suns
He's
basketball.
no Robin. He is no Robin.
Yes, he's no Robin. That's why I think that he needs to be more aggressive, especially once his teammates get cold, because you're the guy of this Phoenix Suns team. This is your team in Phoenix. So you got to be aggressive if you want to win these types of basketball games. You have to take over down the stretch if you want to win.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's like you're technically the up-and-coming superstar on that team. And Kirsty Wilson, agrees with us. Chris Paul is more of an Alfred than a Robin. But for her, Devin Booker is a long way from becoming a Batman in her opinion. But at the same time, he's the up-and-coming superstar for the Phoenix Suns. And they're trying to build pieces around him to trying to convert him as that long-range shooter who can get a lot of points. But he's not the floor general like Chris Paul is. But when the times get going, he's the main scorer. So he has to make those clutch shots and knows how to accelerate and have better performance. But at the same time, they're still a 3 seed. They're fine. They just have to make sure they don't flop in the postseason where they start looking like the Bucks and the Raptors, who have great regular seasons but fall short in the postseason. So that is the main thing that the Phoenix Suns have to overcome, having a solid postseason than having this stellar regular season and nothing to back it up. Because if you have a stellar regular season and don't do well in the postseason, it literally means nothing in your NBA career, basically. But let's continue in the world of the NBA. The Lakers struggle again and lose to the Miami Heat. This is looking pretty worrisome for the Lakers and not having LeBron James or Anthony Davis back. And they're slowly falling out of the good contending seats of the postseason, where they're going to have to start facing the tougher upper echelon of the bracket versus playing a weaker eighth seed that they probably should normally be playing against. But Isaiah, I want to go to you. Is this a real sign that the Lakers should be worried, or is they'll be fine as a lower seed and shock the world saying, oh, we have LeBron James and Anthony Davis back? It will be the first ever Laker team in NBA history to be a 7th seed and pull it off for franchise history, something like that.
This is what I've been saying all along. The Lakers should absolutely be worried once LeBron James went down, because I know they're going to make the playoffs. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, without them, this Laker team, they're fine record-wise. They're already, I think the record right now is, I believe, 32-20. They're too deep into the West picture to not make the playoffs in the West, and they're way too talented to not make the playoffs. But it's all about the seeding for the Los Angeles Lakers. I did not want the Lakers to have to go through first round Clippers, second round Utah, third conference finals, Phoenix Suns, and then just to get to Brooklyn. That is a hell of a road to get to or to get through in the postseason. You do not want the Clippers in the Western Conference first round, because for first round matchups, you typically want a team that's not really that good, so you can save your energy for the second round, for the conference final, and also for the NBA finals, which you're going to need against some of these top teams like Denver, Utah, Phoenix, and also Brooklyn as well. So I'm worried about the Lakers. I'm worried that they're going to drop to a 6th seed or a 7th seed and have to face, a Clippers or, Phoenix in the first round. I'm just worried. I don't want them to spend all their energy in that first round. That's what has me worried right now. And also, Another, takeaway that I had from last night's game is Andre Drummond is unequivocally the third star for the Los Angeles Lakers. He has earned his place on the Lakers as that third guy. I said yesterday, or not yesterday, I said when Andre Drummond first signed with the Lakers that he was that third star behind LeBron and Anthony Davis. Everybody's like hating on Andre Drummond and acting like he's the second coming of Anthony Bennett. And I'm looking at his numbers. I'm like, why? This dude can ball, man. Andre Drummond is a walking double-double. He's a guy that can get you 15 points and 10-plus rebounds every single night that he starts. And that's what the Lakers need. The Lakers don't need Andre Drummond to give you 30 and 20 rebounds a game. No, they have LeBron James. They have Anthony Davis. They just need Andre Drummond to get the tough baskets in the paint and just rebound, and that's what Andre Drummond did yesterday. He had 15 points, 12 rebounds in 27 minutes of play. I was very, very impressed with Andre Drummond. He was also very impressive on defense as well. He was great for the Lakers, and also you had guys like KCP stepping up with 28 points. Montrezl Harrell had 10. Dennis Schroeder, he had 10. Wesley Matthews stepped up with 14. Markieff Morris stepped up with 12. The Lakers, I think, are going to be fine as long as LeBron and AD comes back to full health and Andre Drummond plays the way that we know he can play and all these role players can step up. But I'm just worried, because LeBron and AD probably won't be back for another 2-3 weeks. I'm just worried in that time span with the Lakers having that difficult schedule that they're going to have. I'm just worried that they're going to drop the 6th seed or the 7th seed and have to play Denver, have to play the Clippers, or have to play the Jazz, or even have to play the Phoenix Suns in the first round. And you don't want any of those 4 teams in the first round if you're the Lakers.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Your team is going to be battle tested when they get to the playoffs. And it's not the same when you come off an injury and you're going to the postseason. You don't play the same, number one. You haven't played in, let's say, seems like it's going to be 2 months for LeBron James. Maybe he may be back sooner. But Anthony Davis has not played even longer than that. And you're going to expect him trying to hoop 48 minutes in a game. He's not going to do it. Though he may be in shape and working out constantly, there's just something about a postseason where it's a lot different behavior and your body has to give a lot more. So I just don't think it's going to be ideal for them when they come back and facing a tough team when they could be the other way around where they're a 2 seed, a 1 seed, or a 3 seed, depending how the rest of the season unfolds out. But it's just they're really just scraping by to just get in the playoff spot. And I don't want to say they're in hot water, but it's just they just got to win out. I shouldn't say win out, but just be decent, play healthy basketball, and just get to the postseason so you can have all your stars back. It doesn't matter where you seed, have a seed. You just have to make the playoffs, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James can pull something together and make a really deep run into the playoffs and cause some havoc, being a lower seed. But that's more fuel to the fire for them for sure.
But I also feel the next couple of weeks without LeBron and without AD, they really got to step it up and play better, especially on the perimeter. The defense hasn't been that good for the Lakers. The Lakers, perimeter defense, again, gave up 28 points to Jimmy Butler. Duncan Robinson had 11. Victor Oladipo had 18 before he exited with a knee injury. Tyler Hero had 15. The perimeter defense was already a big concern with LeBron and with AD in the starting lineup. And without them, it's gotten even worse. And I'm just worried that if the Lakers get into the playoffs, right, and you have to play teams like the Jazz, you have to play either Clippers, Suns, Nuggets, and or any team in the West that is in the postseason, they have elite perimeter play. And for the Lakers, if they don't sharpen up their perimeter defense, guys like Devin Booker, guys like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, guys like Donovan Mitchell, they're going to cook the Lakers in a 7-game series, and it's going to be ugly to watch for the Lakers. And it's also going to, if those guys start cooking, it's going to be a long series for sure, even though I think the Lakers will ultimately pull it out.
All right. Before we move on, I want us to address one comment. I know it's from Lewis. He says, "Gentlemen, is there a way I can get on the show?" So Isaiah is there a show that our lovely fans can be a part of so they can, voice their opinion, have a great conversation with us?
Well, Lewis, if you want to come in and hop into our show, feel free to DM me, whether it's on Facebook or send me an email, and we can make that happen most likely either next week or the week afterwards.
Alrighty. Well, now let's move on to our third and final topic in the world of NBA. Figuring out the play-in tournament. What team would you want to try to contest for that 8th seed in that play-in tournament? For our viewers, Isaiah, can you explain how the play-in tournament would be to try to solidify for the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs?
All right, so the play-in tournament is actually for the 7th and the 8th seed in the NBA playoff for either or for both conferences. So how it works is this. Teams that are currently in 10th place, 9th place, 8th place, and 7th place, they all get into this tournament. And I guess what happens is they play a one game. It's like a mini playoffs, pretty much, where you play. I think the 10th seed would play the 7th seed, I believe. Yeah, 10th place would play the 7th seed, and the 9th place team would play the 8th seed. And the winner of those two teams, or the winner of those two games, would be the 9th or would be the 8th seed and the 7th seed in the NBA playoffs. So that's how it works. And I think also how it works is they won't just play one game. They would play, I believe, a best of 3. And if the 10th seed and the 9th seed would have to win, I believe, 2 games out of those 3, and the teams that are right now in 7th and 8th would have to win just 1 out of the 3 to advance and make the playoffs in the West and the East.
Gotcha. So out of the teams out of the playoff bracket, who do you think is going to be the most worthy to get in and secure themselves a nice ticket? I already have 2 teams that I think, like one for each division, I think that are going to try to get a spot. I just can't figure out who would claim like the seeding, but I have 2 teams, one for each conference. So I'll go to you first, Isaiah. Who do you think is the most worthy?
Ooh, that's a very tough question, Trevor. When I look, do you want me to give one team for each the West and the East? Is that how we're going to do it?
Yeah, and that's it. I think we don't need, I guess, anything else filter in, because it could be like if we have 2 different teams and like it kind of fills itself out. But if we have the same teams, I think even still, I think we would be all right.
All right, so I'm gonna start off in the West. All right, so when I look at the Western Conference right now, I like obviously the Timberwolves, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Kings. I'm eliminating them from this because I really don't see a way they can make the postseason. So the teams right now that I'm considering for the final 2 spots in the West is going to be the Pelicans, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Grizzlies, and also Dallas. For me, the team that I think that, or the 2 teams that I think I'm intrigued by is Golden State. If they get into the play-in tournament, I think Golden State is going to be really tough for whoever is either the 7th seed or the 8th seed to have to play them in the play-in tournament, because they are battle tested. They are championship experienced. They have Steph Curry. They have James Wiseman, Draymond Green, Wiggins, Oubre, those guys. They have a great squad. The reason why the Warriors have just been really inconsistent this year is because, of course, with injuries to Steph Curry and, Draymond Green and Wiseman and all these other guys. But if you put them in a play-in tournament where they have to win 2 out of the 3, I'm picking the Warriors any day of the week, because you can't bet against the greatest shooter of all time in Steph Curry going up against, either right now, I think the 7th seed in the West would be Dallas and the Grizzlies. I mean, I take the Warriors over the Grizzlies. I take maybe, I don't know about the Mavericks. That would be a hell of a play-in tournament between the Warriors and the Mavericks. But I think the Warriors would be able to create havoc in the Western Conference if they did get into that play-in tournament. And, another team from the West that I would be, intrigued by or worthy, I'd say, ooh, man, I'm trying to look at these teams that are outside of the play-in tournament right now. The Spurs, unfortunately, they don't really intrigue me. I gotta say the Pelicans, because I think the Pelicans right now, you got Lonzo Ball, who's playing at a really high level. You've got Zion Williamson, who's balling out. Brandon Ingram, all-star last season. He's balling out as well. They have a young team there. They're trying to figure out the pieces and figure out the chemistry. If they can figure all of that out, by the time the play-in tournament comes and they're facing a team like the Grizzlies or the Spurs, I think the Pelicans will also be a team to watch out for in the Western Conference play-in. And as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, Trevor, this Eastern Conference race is going to be really tough because you literally have like 2-3 teams that are just 3 games out of the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, and those 2 teams like are really woeful right now, and they are or one of them is even tanking right now. So then they can still make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference if they somehow get the 10th spot and win the play-in tournament, and win the play-in tournament, and it'll be into the postseason. But when I look at the Eastern Conference, right, so far you have Celtics and Knicks. The Celtics as a 7th seed, that also really intrigues me because I think Boston. I don't know what's going on with Boston this year, man. Boston's just been really inconsistent. There's games where Tatum and Brown look like superstars, and then there's Knicks games where Tatum looks like he shouldn't even, be a starter for the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics have just been really inconsistent this year, but I expect them to, when it's all said and done, not to even be in the 7th spot. I expect them to probably be like a 4th or a 5th in the Eastern Conference because I think the Hornets are going to drop. Without LaMelo Ball. The Hornets, I'm intrigued with them because LaMelo Ball with that team, I mean, there's just something special about them. You have LaMelo, you have Hayward, you have Miles Bridges. You have like those. They have a young group that is like the Atlanta Hawks from last year, where they have a lot of these young talented players. All they need is just some chemistry, and they're really fun to watch. And I think that's what the Hornets are right now. So if LaMelo Ball comes back, watch out, Eastern Conference. And also the other team that I have that I would say out of all these teams, in the East, Trevor, you ready for this, my man? You ready to walk off the set?
What you got?
Second team that I have besides the Hornets that I'm intrigued by in the East is, get this, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I am intrigued by the Cavs. And here's why I'm intrigued by the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's because of Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, who have taken major strides this season for the Cavaliers. Colin Sexton, the Cavs, I believe the Cleveland Cavaliers have played 51 games. Colin Sexton has scored at least 20-plus points in 45 of the Cavaliers' 51 games this season. He's an absolute baller, and Darius Garland has turned it on as of late. That backcourt is really intriguing for me. Plus, you got Kevin Love coming back. Plus, you got Isaac Okoro. Plus, you got Larry Nance Jr. The Cavaliers, I think if they can get into the play-in tournament, watch out for Cleveland. Watch out for that backcourt. Watch out for Kevin Love. He's still got basketball left in him, a lot of basketball that is left in him. Watch out for Cleveland if they get into the play-in tournament.
All right. There's a few things I'll agree with you and the few things that I don't agree. For the West, I agree with you spot on. The Warriors and the Pelicans, if they can get something together, I could see them slipping in the 7th and 8th seed. But maybe the Spurs may cause some havoc, but it's just not enough parts I don't think is going to be enough to get them in. They may somehow magically have enough, get the gas through the tank and win it, but I'm leaning more towards Warriors and Pelicans. For the East, I think Boston's gonna keep the 7th seed. I don't think they're gonna lose it, but for the 8th seed, I want to see if the Chicago Bulls can cause some havoc and slip into that 8th spot. Like, that is my dark horse out of the East of the bottom feeders. Like, can they pull it off? That is the real question, and only time will tell if they can or not. But they are about, I want to say like maybe 3 games behind the 8th seed. So it's really hard at this point in the season to say, can they make up those 3 games and pull it back? But, I don't know.
The Zach LaVine, I'll say this: he's been balling out for the Bulls this season. He's had a tremendous season. But ever since they acquired Nikola Vucevic from the Magic, which a lot of people liked that trade and they thought that would be a great duel with him and LaVine, they've struggled. They've struggled with Vucevic, incorporating him into the starting lineup. I don't know if that's like, trying to figure out chemistry, but the Bulls, I believe, since they acquired Vucevic, their record is 2-5 since he's entered the starting lineup. So I just think the Bulls, I like the Bulls. I like their head coach, Billy Donovan. I like the young players that they have. I like the move to get Vucevic. But I think the Bulls, Trevor, are just a year too early from contending for a playoff spot in the East.
Gotcha. But I think we're ready to move on to our next topic. I know our fans have been itching at baseball, so I understand we have the NFL coming up next, but since MLB only has a short topic, we'll might as well do that now. So the question is, who's going to win the series, Isaiah? The Phillies or the Braves? All right, let me get to our fans' comments. It says, Isaiah, how's that sweep going? And Isaiah, how is that sweep going for the Phillies? 1-8 Braves so far in game 1. Isaiah, I'll let you go. Who do you think is going to win this series?
Who do I think is going to win the series? Or
yes.
Okay.
Do you still believe in your sweep?
First of all, I don't believe in my sweep. The sweep was a stupid call. It's really hard to sweep in Major League Baseball. But the Braves, I got to give them credit. They came out, they came to play tonight, and they knocked the Phillies around. They are up 8-1 right now. Ronald Acuna Jr. made a great play. The pitching staff has been terrific. Their lineup responded to the challenge after they got smoked completely on Saturday against Zach Wheeler. But Trevor and Shree, if you're watching, and Callan, if you're watching as well, and all these other guys that are watching right now from our network that keep laughing at me about the Phillies, the Phillies are going to win the series, of course. The Philadelphia Phillies are going to win the series because the Philadelphia Phillies, they've heard all the noise. They've heard everybody say, oh, the Phillies are going to be in last place. The Phillies are not going to be good. The Phillies aren't even going to be in 500 this year. That's what everybody was saying about the Philadelphia Phillies. And you know what Joe Girardi and his boys have done to start the season? They heard all that noise, and they have responded big time this season. The Philadelphia Phillies, they came to play. They're 5-1 right now. They're about to be 5-2, but they are off to a terrific start. They swept the Braves in Philly. They took 2 out of 3 from this New York Mets team that everybody said at the beginning of the season, oh my God, they got Francisco Lindor. They got Carrasco. They're going to be a great team. It's going to be the Braves and the Mets in the NL East. Well, Philadelphia said, hold on a second, not so fast, and the Phillies have responded. They've got a great pitching staff. The pitching staff has looked amazing so far. Nola was great. Wheeler was terrific. Eflin looks like, what everybody hyped him up to be. Then Matt Moore, even though he struggled with his command, he looked outstanding in his start. Chase Anderson looked pretty good in his start. The bullpen, which was the biggest question of the season, the Phillies bullpen has looked outstanding so far. Neris has looked great. Bradley's looked great. Kinsler's looked great. Everybody in that bullpen has looked like a totally different self from the one in 2020. And you know that lineup, Trevor. Bryce Harper, Real Muto, Segura, Bohm, Hoskins. I mean, the Phillies have a loaded lineup. Might be one of the best lineups in all of baseball. The Phillies, I still believe in this Phillies team. I know they're not, doing well against the Braves right now. They're down 8-1, but I think the Phillies, they have a major improved pitching staff. They've got a great lineup. Their bullpen is major improved. And they have one of the best managers who I think is going to be a future Hall of Famer in Joe Girardi. The Phillies, they're going to win this series because the Phillies, I don't think, fear the Braves. And Philadelphia, if they win this series, if the Philadelphia Phillies win this series, I know it's early right now. I know baseball just started, but it's going to be a major statement to the Atlanta Braves and to the rest of the NL East that, hey, you hear all that stuff that everybody talked about how we were going to finish in 5th place or we're going to finish in 4th place in the East. Take that crap and throw it into the trash can because we are here and we are here to run this division.
Oh my goodness, Isaiah! The times that you pick your teams, the probability of them losing is pretty high. So I'm doing my safe bet. I'm picking the Atlanta Braves, number one, because it's a team against yours, and sometimes we enjoy watching your teams lose and watching some of your reactions. We kind of love that here at this network. And number two, I'm going because of Shree, because Shree doesn't like some of your teams that you select. So those are my 2 reasons of why I'm selecting Atlanta in this scenario. And to respond for you is how is the pitching staff great from Shree? Every pitch gave up runs, and Zach Wheeler gave up 3. Explain yourself.
Just a bad night. I mean, everybody has bad nights, man. It's 162 games. It's just one game. The Phillies are going to be fine. They still got 2 more games against the Atlanta Braves. They got Matt Moore pitching tomorrow, and then they've got, I believe, Chase Anderson. Or no, they have Eflin tomorrow, and then they have Matt Moore on Sunday. The Phillies are going to be fine. It's just one game. I'm not really worried about the Phillies going or trailing 8-1 in a one-game or a one meaningless game.
All right, and we have SG back. Says he's going to go with the Atlanta Braves, and the Philadelphia Eagles are no, that's not the Philadelphia Eagles. Wow, Philadelphia Phillies are a bunch of Higgins. Yeah, what's up?
By the way, I don't want to jinx it, but we've got a developing story right now coming out of Major League Baseball.
All right. What's our developing story, Isaiah?
Folks, I don't want to jinx it, but currently the San Diego Padres, they've got a no-hitter going in the it's in the top of the 9th right now against the Texas Rangers in Arlington. The Padres are up 3-0. If the Padres in the bottom of the 9th get 3 outs, then the Padres will have the first no-hitter of the 2021 MLB season. But once again, cross your fingers because we want to see some history here on No BS and on the MI6 Sports Network. And also for Callan's sake, we want to see some great history coming. So cross your fingers. Padres got a no-hitter going right now in the top of the 9th inning. We shall see what happens as they enter the bottom of the 9th in about a couple of minutes.
Oh boy, let's see if we can get another San Diego shirt. They have the Slam Diego Padres. Can we get a no-hitter shirt? If we get a no-hitter shirt, Callan, hit me up with that shirt. I need to start, beefing up the San Diego collection real quick, Going back to Casey King, your Phillies, your pitching will be your key, but you guys still need another pitcher if you want to take it to the next step. Do you agree with that statement? Do you guys need another pitcher, or do you believe with everything that you guys have that you're already at the next step?
I feel like the Phillies need a number 3 pitcher because I think Zach Eflin is more of a number 4 than he is a number 3. That's why I was really hoping that the Phillies would go out and get Jake Odorizzi this year on the free agent market. But unfortunately, he signed with the Astros. So now the Phillies search for a number 3 continues. But as far as, the bullpen is concerned, I still think they need a true closer because I'd like Hector Neris, but I think he's more of a better fit for the 9th or for the 8th inning instead of the 9th inning. Also, they have Archie Bradley, but he's more of a 8th inning, 7th inning guy. They also have what's his name? They have I'm losing. Oh, Brandon Kinsler, who led the Marlins in saves. I don't know why they don't make Brandon Kinsler their closer because he's got lots of experience as a closer for the Marlins. But it is what it is. I think that go to Casey's comment. I would take Kenley Jansen. I would honestly take Kenley Jansen because the Phillies, they just need that true closer. And I think that would help move everybody down the depth chart a bit in that bullpen. I think that would be good for their bullpen.
And then SG says that, you know, he wants the Rangers to hit a grand slam to break the no-hitter and make the game a lot worse than it actually could become. So, no, I don't want that to happen. I want the no-hitter. I want another San Diego shirt. I want Callan to be happy. All right, that takes care of the yes, Isaiah and your A's.
Hey, they're tied right now. They're tied 1-1 right now in the 8th inning. So hopefully they keep it up and they don't break my heart yet again.
All righty, let's move on to the world of the NFL. You know, tonight we're making great progress. It's like we're only 40 minutes, hit 2 topics. You know, we still have NFL, pigskin pick'ems, and our Power 5. So like 3 segments left, ladies and gentlemen. But NFL is our biggest one, so let's knock this one out. So for the first topic, who are the biggest winners and losers of the NFL free agency? I want to knock mine out first. It's only just been one. Like, it wasn't like the big names like last season where everyone was going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and building up this super team. But I think just this year alone, I think the Rams are building up something that could be very interesting. Defense has been solid in like the postseason, like we saw. And now they just got, Matt Stafford, a good quarterback. Can actually get the ball down the field and sling it and actually has weapons compared to Detroit where they literally had nothing for him. And like for the past couple of years, it's been a struggle to watch. But, I think the Rams have something to do this offseason to actually make, an NFC championship run push compared to like anything else. And Ishmael would say, not Ishmael, yeah, Ishmael. Wow. My mind is off, ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply sorry. He says the Jaguars are the winners. Love what Urban Meyer is doing this offseason, the first season as the coach. I will agree. The Jaguars are making everything, all the right moves, but is it going to be enough in the regular season? That's where it matters, because if you get all this talent and you can't pull it off, people will be like, was that a good move? I understand, it takes a year to get that, system underway. So I'm going to give Urban Meyer about like 2 to 3 years to get that franchise under control to actually become a threat in the league. But I want to go to Isaiah. Who is your winners and losers of this offseason?
By the way, guys, I don't know if you guys saw me celebrating on camera while Trevor was talking just now. I was so fired up because I'm watching the A's game right now on my TV while doing this show. And Matt Olson just hit a 3-run home run to give my A's a 4-1 lead in the 8th inning against those Houston Astros. I'm so fired up right now, man. It feels like all the anger and all the frustration that's been building inside of me, just been kept inside of me, all just released once Matt Olson hit that 3-run homer. So thank you so much, Matt Olson, for that 3-run homer. But as far as the offseason winners and losers are concerned, my first winner obviously has got to be my San Francisco 49ers, because we had so many free agents entering this offseason, and it seemed like we brought back all the major free agents that we had. And the Niners brought back Trent Williams on a 6-year deal, which was huge for us, because if you lose your star left tackle, like that's a major loss, and you have a major hole on your offensive line, and you don't have anybody protecting your quarterback. So to get him back and to get him away from the Kansas City Chiefs is a huge boom for the San Francisco 49ers. They also brought back K'Wan Williams. They brought back Mohamed Sanu. They brought back a lot of their defensive players and also offensive players like Kyle Juszczyk as well. They brought him back on a 5-year contract, and they swung a trade for that number 3 pick, jumping from number 12 all the way to number 3 and getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, which I said entering this offseason, I was like, even though the Niners had a bunch of free agents, I said they have to address the quarterback position, because I have nothing against Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo can play, but he can't stay healthy. He cannot stay on the football field. And when you have to go to your backup quarterback for 2 of the last 3 seasons, that's just a season killer right there. So you needed an upgrade at the quarterback position, and it seems like the 49ers, they got it with this rookie that's going to be coming in, and they might have an enviable situation with the rookie and with Jimmy Garoppolo being the starter for them. So you have the Garoppolo starting, and then you have the rookie on your bench, so they have an option just in case Garoppolo gets hurt, and the rookie can learn from Jimmy G and develop as he is sitting on the bench, and then he can take over the season afterwards, which I think will be a good situation for him. Other winners that I would say is I would agree with Ishmael. I love what Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars did. I know they're getting Trevor Lawrence, but they brought in Carlos Hyde. They brought in Marvin Jones Jr., a weapon for Trevor Lawrence to throw the football to. They also brought in a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the football. I love what Urban Meyer did his first offseason as the head coach of the Jags. Another winner I would say is probably the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs somehow, some way, with all that money they have invested into Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, they somehow, some way were able to land the best guard on the free agent market and get him from New England, which was huge to shore up their offensive line. They also made a run at Trent Williams. They came really close to landing Trent Williams, but unfortunately he signed back with my San Francisco 49ers, and also they also came really close to landing Juju Smith-Schuster from the Pittsburgh Steelers, but somehow he went back to Pittsburgh. But I love what the Chiefs did with landing Joe Thuney. I think he will really help Kansas City. New England's also a big winner because of all the moves that they made to shore up their team. They just need to address the quarterback position. I think they will be good to go. And as far as another winner is concerned, I like Denver. I like what Denver did in bringing not Bryce Callahan. They brought Fuller, who has a lot of familiarity with Vic Fangio, to Denver. They also brought in, a couple of more players on the defensive side of the ball. They got rid of the aging, injury-prone veterans that they had there. They kept Von Miller, but they got rid of others, and then I felt like they got better defensive players on their defense. And I think that Vic Fangio, he's got no excuses anymore to not win, because you might not have the quarterback, you still have Drew Lock, but your defense, is going to be good next season. You have the pieces on your defense. You have, the wide receivers, the running backs on offense. If you could find the quarterback, I think the Denver Broncos will be contending for a playoff spot in the AFC next season. And I would say for my loser, Seattle, because they didn't really do anything in free agency, and Russell Wilson is already really ticked off with Pete Carroll and the Seahawks front office. They didn't improve the offensive line. They didn't really, improve the defense. They lost a lot of defensive players to free agency. Another loser that I would have is, I'm trying to think. Man, I can't really think of any more, Trevor. I think my biggest loser would be the Seattle Seahawks.
Alrighty, I'll go to some of our comments and keep this show rolling. So Casey King, she says, her Dallas Cowboys are a winner. Yes, they broke the bank to pay Dak Prescott, but they did manage to sign a couple defensive players for 1-year deals, which is smart in her opinion, which is pretty valid because anything can happen in the NFC East at this point. So we have to see how that unfolds, and paying that money for Dak Prescott, is it going to pay off? We'll have to wait and see. If the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, I think, some could say that was a mistake, but only time will tell what would happen. And then Casey King, he has his Rams, the Jags as the winners, but, they will, I think it'd be key if Urban Meyer can, just adjust to coaching the NFL. Niners are a winner as well, but losers have to go to the Seahawks, Raiders, and Texans. Texans have just been a hot mess at this point. Like I said earlier in the previous episodes of No BS, The Texans should move again. They got to leave Houston, and we'll get a new expansion team back in Houston, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's going to end up happening because, why not add more NFL teams into it? Instead of a 32 team, make it a 34 team league. Come on now. Let's add some more teams in the NFL. Let's make it, very interesting. But I doubt it will ever happen. But who knows? Isaiah, go.
I also think that the Texans were also a big loser because they should have traded Deshaun Watson before all this stuff that is going on around Deshaun Watson came out. Because now with everything that's going on, you already seen a lot of teams, Trevor, that was in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes already back out. You look at the Panthers. They were in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. They really wanted him. They even offered a massive package to Houston for Deshaun Watson. They got rebuffed, and now they pivoted towards Sam Darnold. It seems like they found their franchise quarterback. San Francisco was also in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. What do? They saw all the stuff that was floating around Deshaun Watson. They go and trade for the number 3 pick. They presumably have their franchise quarterback. It's just that a lot of these suitors for Deshaun Watson is dropping every single day now. And at this point, I don't really know what the Texans can get for Deshaun Watson, given the fact that all this stuff is hanging around him. And who knows, if he's found guilty, he is screwed. But if he's not guilty, what you've seen the NFL, Trevor. Even if you're not guilty, they can still put a suspension on you, just like what they did with a couple of players from a couple of years ago. So there's just, if I'm the Texans, I would have traded him earlier, because now with you don't trade him and all this stuff hanging around, I don't even know if you can get a first-round pick for Deshaun Watson back with all the stuff that's going around him.
Yeah, most teams probably don't want to invest that kind of money into a quarterback that could have issues later down the line. So it's going to be a lot of convincing to get it at the same time, but the Texans want to get out of his hands. They might just take anything to just get rid of him. But, it really depends on what the other teams are going to do. But, yeah.
The Jets also is another team that really wanted Deshaun Watson. They traded Sam Darnold, and now they're going to go get probably either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields from Ohio State. So that's another team that also dropped out of the Watson Derby.
Just continue with more of the world of the quarterback issue. Well, not quarterback issues, but more quarterback drama. We have, the Saints having interest in Florida quarterback Kyle Trask. Me personally, you can get him, but you have Jameis Winston. So it's like if you want to train a quarterback up and not put him in the threat of failure and have him understand the system and give him 2 years on the bench, in his third year he starts, that's probably the best bet for them if they don't want to trust Jameis Winston. But at the same time, literally before Jameis Winston left, the man threw for 5,000 yards. So it's I wouldn't throw Jameis Winston under the bus just yet. Give him another opportunity and see what he can do for your organization before you just, get rid of him and move on to a rookie. But I want to go to you, Isaiah. What do you think about this? Quarterback Kyle Trask going to the Saints if possible. Is that really reasonable, or the Saints going to get something else that's going to actually help them and they're going to trust Jameis Winston and maybe wait for next year's draft to get a quarterback?
The New Orleans Saints should absolutely go out and get Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask with New Orleans, I think, would be a Hall of Famer. Yes, I said it. Kyle Trask with New Orleans would be a Hall of Famer. And here's why. Because Kyle Trask is a guy that's mobile. He's a guy that's agile. He's a guy that's got a cannon of an arm. I'm not saying you're going to put him in this upcoming season and play him and he'll be, really good. No, you sit him on the bench, and I think that 1 year or 2 years of development would really help Kyle Trask if he wants to be a great quarterback in the NFL. And then after the 1 or 2 years of development, imagine Kyle Trask with Michael Thomas, with Alvin Kamara, with the receivers they've got, the offensive line, with Sean Payton, the offensive maestro that he is as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, and that defense. I mean, Kyle Trask would be in an enviable spot with the New Orleans Saints. He would get a great play caller, a guy that does wonders with quarterbacks to work with, and he's got phenomenal weapons. He would be in a spot that all these other rookies that are coming out, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, they would all be begging to go to New Orleans instead of their current situation right now. Yes, New Orleans absolutely should get Kyle Trask, in the second round or the third round, whenever, if he falls or not. But they should absolutely get Kyle Trask. He would help them, and they would help him big time.
All righty. Let's keep. What's up?
One last thing I also want to add is I think Kyle Trask would also help New Orleans expand their offense, because last season, with Drew Brees, right, Trevor, you had Drew Brees and Kamara and Michael Thomas and all those guys. They didn't really have a downfield passing game because Drew Brees could not throw the football down the field. But Kyle Trask, the guy's got a cannon of an arm, and he can throw that football down the field. So you're going to be able to see more deep shots from the New Orleans Saints that you saw, back when New Orleans won the Super Bowl with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Sean Payton would get to be more creative on offense. He's going to be able to expand his playbook. I love this fit for both sides.
All righty. And now for our final NFL topic. It's about your 49ers getting Nate Sudfeld. Is it Sudfeld or Sudfeld? Sudfeld. All right. So your quarterback situation is not looking pretty. Jimmy G's out. He's going to be somewhere. Then you have, Nate, the rookie, or Josh Rosen. Who are you going to start? For me, I don't know who you're going to start. It's a hot mess, and I don't know. Unless you're going to let Jimmy G do what he wants to do, but I don't know what to tell you.
Trevor, by the way, before I give my take on this, we have some historic breaking news out of Major League Baseball. I am happy to report, ladies and gentlemen, that coming into tonight, there were only one team out of all 30 teams in Major League Baseball that had never had a no-hitter in franchise history, and that was Callan's San Diego Padres. Well, folks, we told you like a couple minutes ago that the Padres were on the cusp of history, that Joe Musgrove was throwing a no-hitter in Texas against the Texas Rangers. Well, I'm happy to report, folks, Joe Musgrove has thrown the first ever no-hitter in San Diego Padres history, and now every team in Major League Baseball has a no-hitter. Congratulations to Callan. Congratulations to the Padres on this historic accomplishment that just happened a couple of minutes ago.
We love to see when we get no-hitters. I wouldn't say impossible. It's one of the most challenging feats in MLB. And once you pull it off, I would say you start entering yourself in one of the great pitchers of baseball. I would say if you can pull a couple more no-hitters in your career, you're in that GOAT conversation of being one of the top pitchers in the league. But, this is one of many for the Padres, and I wish them, many more no-hitters in the future.
By the way, I also want to add this, that Callan just told me that this guy that pitched the no-hitter for the Padres, Joe Musgrove, was his former teammate, I believe, in high school baseball, which adds even more significance to this matter. So very, very cool deal for Callan, very cool deal for the Padres, very cool deal for Major League Baseball, and also very cool deal for Callan's teammate. Congratulations to Joe Musgrove on this incredible accomplishment.
Yep, and Kirstie Weston just learned this today. She never knew that the Padres never had a no-hitter. So you learn something new every day on No B.S. We're a very educational based platform. We shouldn't be saying that because our takes are sometimes bad. We don't help educate here. We're just two average guys who love sports. That's all we got here, you know. And John Alcorn says, "How about your Oakland A's, Isaiah?"
They're
And
actually winning right now, 4-1.
and then, you know, what about the sweep? I think, you know, people just coming after you about the sweep. But back to the question, like, how do you, I would say, feel about your 49ers? Who would you start as it before we head on to our pigskin pick'ems? Like, who would you start as your quarterback?
Well, first of all, let me say this before I
You got
get
your paper. This is about to get serious, ladies and gentlemen. He got his papers organized. Oh gosh, we're gonna get a rant.
Let me say this. So the 49ers right now have, or actually before I get into the the 4 quarterbacks that they have, let me say this. I love the signing of Nate Sudfeld. I love it. I absolutely love it. That's right. When we were working on the No B.S. script today, Trevor was like, "Why are we even putting on Nate Sudfeld? I mean, this guy doesn't even matter in the NFL." And I was like, "Nope, we're putting it in. We're talking about it tonight because I love this signing. I've wanted Nate Sudfeld for 2 seasons already, folks. I've always wanted Nate Sudfeld. I think the guy can play. I watched him play last year against the New York Football Giants in the or was it? No, it was against the Washington Football Team in that final game of the year. And he didn't really do that much, but he looked poised. He has a good arm, mobility. He's got all of it, but. I love the signing for the Niners. I think that everybody is saying that this is a camp arm for the Niners. I don't believe it is, because if he's a camp arm, why are you giving a camp arm $300,000 in guaranteed money? It just doesn't make any sense. So I think that Nate Sudfeld is here to stay with the 49ers. Unfortunately, if you're going to ask me, Trevor, out of all these quarterbacks, Jimmy G, the rookie that the 49ers are going to draft, Nate Sudfeld or Josh Rosen, who is the odd man out?
I feel like the clear answer, you're going to say you hate Jimmy G so much, you're going to say Jimmy G's the odd man out. And then you're probably going to say Josh Rosen is going to start and bench the rookie to give him some time to understand the system. And then like year 3, he's going to start.
If I'm Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy G's the odd man out. He's the odd man out because you're not going to pay a guy $25 million a year to sit on your bench. You're not going to do that. Trade Jimmy Garoppolo, get rid of his contract, and yes, I agree with Trevor. Josh Rosen or Nate Sudfeld should be.
Nate should not start. No, Nate should not start. This was a wasted of money of getting this man. You should have trusted Josh Rosen to start. Nate does not deserve to start, to be honest. He's a third string.
I think what the Niners should do is they should get rid of Jimmy G. The rookie who they're going to get, which I'm hoping is Zach Wilson, but if it's Justin Fields, I have no issues with it. But one of these guys, the rookie's going to sit on the bench because I think that the rookie, he needs another year of development. You can't just throw him into the fire week 1 and expect him to have success. No, just look at these successful quarterbacks. The reason why a lot of these quarterbacks like Darnold, a lot of these quarterbacks like Darnold, Carson Wentz, it was because he had injuries. But Darnold, Drew Lock, the reason why they're struggling, it's because these teams threw them into the fire before they were ready. They didn't give them a year of development and a year to sit on the bench and learn. That's what the Niners need to do. The Niners need to make a smart decision by having that rookie sit on that bench and just learn the offense and learn what it's like to play in the NFL and to develop before you throw him into the fire. I think that would be the smart move for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. So what I'm saying is either get a competent bridge quarterback like, I don't know. I don't even know who's out there. Maybe you could bring back Nick Mullins, but Nate Sudfeld, Josh Rosen, keep those 2 guys. You got to get rid of Jimmy G because there's no way you're paying a guy $25 million to sit on your bench. Jimmy G, for me, has got to be the odd man out.
And I guess you already said who you would start too. So let's go to some of our viewer comments. Casey King, Isaiah, are you gonna get a Sudfeld jersey or a Rosen jersey, but you still have Mullins? Who are you going to swap it out for?
we could just swap out Sudfeld for Mullins. I mean, swap out Mullins for Sudfeld because Sudfeld's probably going to wear number 4 since he did that in Philadelphia.
Alrighty. We have if you go with Josh Rosen as your starter, might as well go with Higgins as your starter.
Well, I think with Rosen starting, I know a lot of people are bashing him, but I believe in Kyle Shanahan's ability to get the best out of quarterbacks. And I think that Rosen, even if he starts, he's not even going to be doing that much. He's just going to be handing the ball off and just being kind of like a game manager. And that's what you need right now until that rookie gets up to speed with everything, and then he can lead you on the football field. Let's face it, guys. Next year is a transitional year for the 49ers. I don't believe the 49ers are going to be looking at next year as the year that they're going to win the Super Bowl. No, because Nick Bosa's coming off a torn ACL. You have all like the cornerbacks, they all left. Verrett's the only one that's back. So next year's going to be kind of a transitional year for the 49ers. So they got to look at it as let's let the rookie get up to speed and let whoever is in our quarterback room, whether it's Sudfeld or Rosen, let them start, let the rookie learn, and then afterwards, then we can start winning with that rookie.
All right. Kirsty Wilson's big question is, if Jimmy G's the odd man out, where does he go? And to kind of go back with it, Casey King says, good luck on getting Jimmy G with somebody else. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. But going back to Kirsty Wilson's comment, where do you think Jimmy G goes? I don't know. I think he becomes a free agent. And if a major quarterback goes down, then they might sign him. But hey, I know where he could go. He could be a Houston Texan. They really have nothing going on for them. So I think that's where he could land.
I think that's also a logical destination for him because he, Nick Caserio, their new GM, he's the GM there. He worked under Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots in their front office, so makes a lot of sense. He drafted Jimmy Garoppolo as well, so that could make a lot of sense. As far as where I think he should go. Man, I'm trying to think of teams that need quarterbacks right now, but
they don't, because they're gonna get quarterbacks in the draft if they need one now. So it's he's kind of stuck.
Maybe New England, because New England
they got Cam Newton and they're gonna draft a quarterback as well. So it's they don't need Jimmy G.
There's also one destination that I can't think of that needs a quarterback that will make Mr. Alcorn get so infuriated.
You saying Denver?
On our show, the Denver Broncos. I would love to see the Denver Broncos trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, because then we would see Mr. Alcorn red hot and red as an apple onto the show and just start ranting for the next 15 20 minutes or maybe even more, and then I can fill out another couple of job applications while at it. But I can only think of Denver, Trevor. I can only think of Denver being a team that because they said they wanted a veteran quarterback to give Drew Lock some competition.
John Alcorn says Cincinnati and the Bengals, but if they want to rush Joe Burrow for a year, then that's not a bad pick, and let Jimmy G get mauled by a terrible, terrible defense. Well, not terrible defense, a terrible offensive line. But going back to Casey King, a lot of our fans are enjoying this NFL segment tonight. So, rumors with Mac Jones to the 49ers. I know you don't want this to happen, but your thoughts and feelings. I know you talked about him previously. It's that you don't want Mac Jones, Big Mac Jones. You don't want this man from McDonald's. But hey, what are your thoughts on it?
Sometimes I think our fans bring up stuff just to get me infuriated because they know how much I don't want Mac Jones. And they know that if the 49ers draft Mac Jones, that I will be extremely pissed off if they did. And there will probably be a epic reaction that will be far more epic than the James Wiseman, reaction where I threw my headphones down and said no and then walked off the set. I don't know why the 49ers are so, infatuated with Mac Jones. I don't get it because you literally have a Mac Jones type quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. If you want Mac Jones, just start Jimmy G because they both are the same. Both guys don't have that much mobility. Both guys are game managers. Both guys are, true pocket passers. I thought when you made the trade for the number 3 pick, I thought Kyle Shanahan was going to get a quarterback that was mobile, that had a dynamic arm, that was a dynamic football player, but instead you're settling for a quarterback that's the same thing that what you have. It just makes no sense whatsoever. If they draft Mac Jones, I will support Mac Jones. I won't be pissed off at Mac Jones. I will be pissed off at Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch for wasting our future, our, next 3 years, first round picks for getting the same quarterback that we currently have on our roster.
And let me get you one more comment before we head to our picks and pick'ems for tonight. We have, Isaiah, you probably want the Drew Luck for Jimmy G, right? Don't you want that type of trade?
Hey, I would take it, man. I would take Drew Lock in a trade, but as a backup, though, not as a starter, as a backup. You can be the backup.
All right, as we're going to continue on for tonight's program, we're going into our spring pick'em for Pigskin Pick'ems. All right, Isaiah, back in spring ball with great schools in the FCS world. We have Central Washington and the great state of Montana. Who you got? Montana versus Central Washington. It's at Montana. Who you got?
Well, I think Christy Wilson can fill us in on Montana and how they're doing because I literally have no idea how Montana is doing right now. No disrespect to them. I don't really follow FCS football, so that makes it really, really tough to pick this. But you know what, Trevor? I'm going to pick this based on the mascots and the colors of their jerseys. That's how.
Oh gosh! Oh Lord! Oh,
Trevor, when I look at this, both teams haven't even played a single game this season.
Oh gosh!
0-0, which makes it so hard to pick when you don't have anything to judge them on. So it's like we're basically like taking a random piece of paper or a random number out of a hat and just picking it at this point. But you know what, Trevor? I am going to go with the Montana Grizzlies because I love grizzly bears and they have some killer colors, with the red or not the red, but a crimson red color, kind of like New Mexico State's colors. And I like their uniform. And man, their stadium, if you look at their stadium, it's got a nice view to it. So I'll take Montana. Give me the Montana Grizzlies to beat Central Washington on tomorrow afternoon. But it was a really close decision because Central Washington, you got apples, and Montana, snow, Grizzlies. Give me Montana.
All righty. I'll read some of our comments before we get to my selection. We have Kirsty Wilson. She's picking Montana, well, because she lives there, kind of no-brainer. We have John Alcorn. I'm going to have to agree with him. I got Montana because of Hannah Montana. I kind of agree. Let me one up him. I got Montana because of Joe Montana. That's the reason why Montana is going to actually win this football game. No coin flipping this week, but I'm going to go with Montana because of Hannah Montana, of Joe Montana, and because of Kirsty Wilson lives in Montana. And don't forget the big sky. Don't forget the big sky in Montana, Isaiah. Yup. And Casey King, go Montana.
You can't go wrong with Montana. Either way, it's like Joe Montana, Hannah Montana. I mean, winners. You know what I mean?
Yep. Let me turn off the comment and let's go on to our tonight's Power 5.
Персональный спутник.
All right. So tonight's Power 5 segment, ladies and gentlemen, is our favorite cars. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at automobiles, our favorite cars. So they can be sports cars, I guess, regular cars, SUVs, trucks, you name it. Even RVs count as good. I guess not really cars, but a vehicle of an automobile. And Isaiah, I know you're still setting your list, but I can go through mine. Shall I share my screen of my list? I don't know how my computer is going to behave, so I will try to bless my soul on sharing my screen. All right, let's rock and roll. So, sharing our screen now. All righty. There we go. So, oh dear God, is it flashing for you, Isaiah?
Yes, it is, dude.
Okay, yeah. I probably should put like a warning sign. Yeah, I guess I can't share my cars tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I will read them off so you can,
Tech
go.
issues.
Yep, Tech Issues is here, always on the MI6 Sports Network. You can't get rid of it. But the first one I have is a Nissan 370Z, which is one of my favorite cars growing up as a kid because I had an RC car of it. It's nice and slick, and it's definitely something that you should take a look at. So it's a Nissan 370Z. Make sure you look at that car up so you can see what that is. My next one is the Ford GT40. The car came out in around the 1960s, late 1960s, and it reminds me of Speed Racer's Mach 6 car. That's where I really, really like this car. It has a nice sky blue with a nice orange tint to it for one of the models for it, and that's why I like that car. So if you're curious what the car looks like, it's a Ford GT40. That's what it is. My third one is the Plymouth Superbird. You might know this car as the car that Richard Petty drove in NASCAR. It has a beautiful, I guess, spoiler. That's the word I was looking for, John. The spoiler is beautiful on the Plymouth Superbird, and just the car that Richard Petty drive and the nice blue was very captivating and very nice. Number 2 for me is the Ferrari F50, the classic 1997 when it was in production. From 95 to 97 was when the car was in production. It's a classic Ferrari. I've seen it in countless, animes and movies and just things about the car. It's a classic, and you can't leave that car out. Number 1, I have to go for Need for Speed. Like my number 2 came from Need for Speed, why I got hooked into it. But my number 1 came from Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, called the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. That car is a racing car. I love it. It's a classic silver. It's beautiful. It's chrome. It's work of art, and it sits as my number 1 of the. I wouldn't say my king of the list, but is my supreme. But going through my list again, I have Nissan. From starting with 5, I have Nissan 370Z, great classic sports. It's not a classic sports car, but it's a nice car that you can casually drive around in. My number 4 is the Ford GT40. My number 3 is the Plymouth Superbird. My number 2 is the Ferrari F50. And the number 1 is the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. Isaiah, do you have your list, or I shall read our glorious comments from our viewers?
I actually have my list.
Alrighty.
Well, let me give a quick disclaimer before I go through my list. I don't.
You have
drive.
a horse and buggy.
Yes, I don't drive, so some of these like cars might be like this might be one of the worst lists you've ever seen. But Trevor, and unfortunately, Trevor, I don't really know some of these car names.
Oh,
I just looked up Google and just looked up like cars.
Oh gosh, ladies and gentlemen, please brace yourselves for impact. This is going to be an interesting list.
Yeah,
he's probably going to have like the Ford Fiasco or something like that.
All right, number 5 on this list. I wish I had a picture with me. But number 5 on this list, I'm gonna go with the Honda Odyssey. It is a van. It allows, I believe, 8 people to sit in it. I mean, I've had it, or my parents had it before when I was little, and it was so spacious. You could sit 8 people. There were cup holders in there. I mean, it was just perfect for a family. And also, if you want to, have a like, if you like to go on long drives, or if you like to have gatherings, it's perfect. And also it's very durable. I remember my folks had that car for like 10, 12 years, and that's really good for a car when it comes to endurance. So that was or the Honda Odyssey is number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list, Trevor, it's gotta be, I'm trying to find a picture of it, but it's a Ford V8. It's a Ford V8 from the 1960s, and it's your 1960s automobile that they had back in the 60s. I've always wanted to ride in those type of cars because I've seen it. It looks like, I think you can only sit like 4 people in there, but it's just really unique and really authentic. And I just always wanted to go into one of those cars and drive around in it. It'll be a really cool experience. Number 3 on my list, it's gotta be. I don't know the name of this car. Forgive me, guys. I don't know the name of this car, but this gray car. I don't know what it's called. We're just gonna call.
It's a Porsche, it looks like, but I don't know what kind of Porsche.
Yeah, it's a Porsche. I mean, this car is amazing. The gray color makes it look even better. It looks like a car where you can just drive up the coast and enjoy the breeze and enjoy the nice sunlight while you're driving up there to the beach. I mean, that would be a perfect car to drive up to the beach. That's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is, we're going fancy, y'all, the Lamborghini. A Lamborghini, and I'm gonna go with a 2019 Lamborghini Huracan. It's a blue car. I mean, those cars are just really expensive.
Isaiah, you can't go with any other Lamborghini than the Murcielago. That's rule of facts for Lamborghinis. It's only the Murcielago is the car that you desire.
Well,
Nothing else.
Show me a picture of it. And
Well, the Lamborghini Murcielago, if my computer decides to, cooperate, but in the meantime, get to your number 1.
and my number 1. Ready for this, Trevor?
What's that?
It's an RV.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
always wanted an RV since I was a little kid. I mean, this RV, you can look at it. I mean, look at the inside of it, Trevor. You've got the couches, you've got a sink, you've got a kitchen, you can put TV, you got a TV in there. It's perfect to go on long drives across America, which I've been dying to do for a couple of years now. You can go on long drives, you can sleep there, you can eat in there, you can watch, baseball games. I mean, it's the ultimate American experience. That's what this car is. And if I ever get a ton of money and get rich, and MI6 becomes, one of the top networks out there, and I'm a millionaire, first thing I'm buying, an RV that looks just like this one.
I'm going to try to share my screen again. I'm going to try. If it's not, I'm going to, pass you the long of just reading the comments until I get the picture of the Lamborghini Murcielago up. But let's see if it's going to be friendly to me. And it's friendly. Wow. The magic of it on. But that's the Lamborghini Murcielago, the only Lamborghini you should ever want in your lifetime. Only one.
Dude, that looks amazing. I think that's the one that LaMelo Ball has, especially the orange one.
Yeah, but the yellow ones makes it all nice. It makes it all
Oh.
worth the while. But yeah, I'll go through just showing my number 1 if my computer decides to load. Gotta love technical difficulties on the MI6. But I will stop sharing so we can make that process a little bit faster. Yep, that's all my computer needs is me going back and forth. But yes, here's my number 1. As you can see, this was what my number 1 would look like. This would be the best representation for it. Yep, just look how beautiful that car is. You know, she's a dream.
Ooh.
It's a dream, Isaiah. It's a dream. I'll continue sharing, but can you read some of our comments for our viewers as I, filter through my picks?
All right, so let's see. Christy Wilson, for her number 5 is the Ford Ranger because my husband has one. Chardot, I guess, says, I love Hannah Montana. It's my favorite show. That's why I'm picking Montana. Christy, number 4 for her is the Lamborghini. For John Alcorn, we have the SpongeBob boat, the Batmobile, the 1970 Dodge Charger, the Krabby Patty car. For Christy, number 3 is the Chevy Camaro. For Chardot, number 5 for him, the Corvette. Number 4 for him, the Ferrari. For Christy, number 2 for her is the Dodge Challenger. And number 1 for her is the Ford Mustang GTS. And for Chardot, he's got the Lamborghini at 3. He's got the Ford at number 2. And he's got the Maserati at number 1. Outstanding car, Chardot. Christy also says, honorable mention, the DeLorean from Back to the Future. That's a good one. And also for Casey King, number 5, the Honda Accord, as I currently drive a 2015 one, and my last car I had was a 2004 Honda Accord and had it till 2015. Number 4 for him, the Sky Blue Cadillac, which is a good one, convertible like that one in movie. 48 Hours. Number 3, Lincoln Town Car. Yes, that's a good one right there, Casey. Number 2 is the Ferrari, and number 1 is the Corvette. And honorable mentions are Lexus, Nissan Maxima, and Porsche. And John Alcorn says, what? In regards to my list.
Your Honda Odyssey was what he said, because he says a soccer mom car.
Yes. Hey, I'm just going from experience, man. I'm just going from experience with my list. Also, Casey says, Isaiah, I thought your car would be like the Aldi, like the one the Higgins drove on the old Magnum PI show. For Chardot, number 5 was the Porsche 911, and also I believe, Casey also said that's the Higgins RV. Really, Casey? We unfortunately deleted the picture, but I mean that RV looked pretty, snazzy. Also, Trevor, do you have your pictures yet?
Yeah, I haven't really downloaded them on StreamYard, but I can start screen sharing again.
Go ahead.
I'm just that lazy of not, putting it up there. It's like I'll save it and upload it to StreamYard. But yes, here's my number 2, the Ferrari F50. It's a beautiful classic red. You can't get it in any other color but the red in that sense. Great car, by the way. My next one is my number 3 as my Plymouth gets ready and supercharged. I will find the Richard Petty one, which is always the best one to look at. I found it. Share my wonderful screen here at the MI6 Sports Network. And just look at this, ladies and gentlemen viewers. Just look at that car. Wouldn't you want to drive that around in your streets? It's just such a beauty. Nice classic blue. You can't go wrong with that.
That's an OG car, Trevor. That's an OG.
Yeah, it's the Superbird. It's the Plymouth Superbird. It's a great car. It's a fantastic muscle car. My Ford GT40, the car that reminds me of the Mach 6 from Speed Racer. That's how I will call this car. And I will screen share this one. Oh, it's a great car right here. Just look at it. Doesn't that remind you of Speed Racer?
Yes, I love it.
Yes, it's a beautiful car. I wish I could own it. It's like the cars from the 60s, as you can see down below, late 1960s, Man, I wish I could own this car. If I had all the money in the world, this would probably be the first car I actually would purchase. And then my last one is my Nissan 370. It's a nice one. It's probably, if I made nice money and had a great salary coming in, it would be this car. at this point in my life, I would say. The first nice car I would buy myself. But yes, it would be something like this. And yeah, that is my Power 5. And yeah, John Alcorn, he had a white Mustang from 2006 he used to drive. To comment to my, Ford GT40, go Speed Racer, go. And then one of his other favorite cars is the one that Homer Simpson owned. Wow, that was a great Power 5 segment, but we're going to have to bring this show to a close, and let's move on to our final thoughts. Isaiah, we have stroke to the time of 11:30 here on the East Coast of the United States. I can't even do math anymore, but you know what time it is on the West Coast, ladies and gentlemen. But the Oakland A's get their second win of the season, defeating the Astros. How'd you get the banner to work? I've been having no banners all week. Like, what's going on?
I don't know, man. It just all of a sudden just worked for me.
I don't know. I guess it's the MI6. You can't have technical difficulties without it. But Isaiah, what are your final thoughts for tonight's show?
Well, before I get into my final thoughts, I just want to, take the time to thank John, thank Chardot, thank Casey King, thank Christy Wilson. Also want to thank, I believe it's Stephen Wang that's running the comments from the MI6 Sports Network. And also thank Ishmael, Callum McClurg, and also, I'm trying to see, there's Shri Anad and Luis Tenor for tuning into our show tonight. Really appreciate you. Once again, Luis, if you still want to hop on the show, feel free to send me a DM, and we'll make that happen probably next week or the following week after that. But, man, Trevor, it's great to be back, man. We didn't have no BS last week because of me having to work for the Oakland A's, but it's great to be back, man. Great to do the show with you once again. It sucks that Furman couldn't be with us tonight, but still, it was a great show. So glad that my A's finally won a game, or won our second game, because it feels like it's been years ever since we won our first game, and hopefully it's the start of something great in Oakland now that they finally won a game against the Houston Astros. Happy the A's won. The Phillies, they're going to bounce back tomorrow. I have all the trust in the world in Joe Girardi. And also, Trevor, I want to make an announcement real quick before I give the floor back to you, and that is, folks, I am so delighted and so ecstatic to announce that on Monday, Sammy, Loro, and Stephen Wang will have the privilege and the honor to be joined by Mike Yam, who worked at ESPN as a SportsCenter anchor. He worked at the Pac-12 network, and he currently works at the NFL network. Mike Yam will be joining Wild Sports Talk on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You won't want to miss that show. It's going to be a phenomenal show. So put that on your calendar. Mike Yam joins Wild Sports Talk on Monday. I believe it's the 12th.
Awesome. Make sure you tune in, everybody. Save it on your calendar. Put it on your Google Calendar so you can get that nice reminder. Make sure you like the MI6 Facebook page and click notifications so anytime that we go live, you get it, and so you could tune in. So definitely check that out. Also, Chardell said, that car is from Ford versus Ferrari, the one I mentioned with the Ford GT40. I haven't seen that movie. I'm gonna, it's on my bucket list to watch, but we'll see how it goes. Chardell loved tuning in tonight's show, hearing our takes on sports, and John wants to thank Michael Yam for joining the show on Monday. And for me, it's been a fantastic show. We've put a lot of time and efforts. Glad to be back in the saddle of doing this fantastic thing, I would say. But hey, as all good things come to an end. So that will do it for us tonight here on the MI6 Sports Network. Isaiah, you have one more final remark to say?
Yeah, and I can't believe I didn't add this on my final thoughts, but I want to once again, as part of the MI6 Sports Network, want to congratulate the San Diego Padres on a historic no-hitter tonight. All the teams in Major League Baseball have now thrown a no-hitter or a perfect game in their franchise history. Congratulations to the San Diego Padres. Also, congratulations to Joe Musgrove, native San Diegoan, and he's a guy that was Callan McClurg's teammate, I believe, in high school. So it's a great accomplishment for him. And also, I want to congratulate Callan on his team finally getting that elusive no-hitter that they got tonight. So congratulations to everybody in the Padres organization on this historic accomplishment.
All right, and that will do it for us here on the MI6 No BS special. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.
Yeah. 3-6, mafia. Whoa, hey.